Hello and welcome back. Hope you are having a good time learning Jenkins and this course has been helpful for you so far. In this video, we will learn how to create and manage users and roles in Jenkins. Within an organization, you may have different groups of people and each may need different types of access to Jenkins. Example, you may have a group of developers and then you may have a different group of testers and then you may have a different group of admins. Now, how do you give them access to Jenkins and ensure that they don't step on each other's toes? That's what we will be learning in this video. Here I am in my Jenkins instance and I'm logged in as the admin user that we created in the previous videos. The first thing that we'll need to do is create some users. For this, we'll have to go to Manage Jenkins. And then if you come down here, you should see an option called Manage Users. Let's click on that. At this point in time, we have just the one user that we've already created. And on the left here, you see a Create User option. Let's click on that. This is the link that can be used to create new users. Right. Now, let's go ahead and create a couple of users now. Let us assume that Steven is going to be our developer and Mary is going to be a tester for us. So let's go ahead and create them. So the first user, Steven, let me just go ahead and give him the username of Steven. Let me type in a password. Let me retype the password. Let us say Steven developer. And then just say Steven dot dev at Jenkins dot training. Right? So let's go ahead and create Steven. Right? So that adds Steven. Let's go ahead and create Mary as well. Let's say Mary. Let me type in password here. Let me retype the password. Full name Mary is going to be our tester, right? And then we have to give her email address here. Let's go ahead and click on create user, which should create Mary as well. There you go. So we have two users now. One is Mary and the other one is Steven. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly test if we're able to log in as these users, right? So let me go and click on the logout link here. Let me try to log in as Steven here, right? Steven, and let me type in the password that I've given. Okay, so now we are logged in as Steven and we are on the Jenkins dashboard page. Here, he has access to the complete Jenkins, including the Manage Jenkins option here. But that's not what we want, right? We want only admin users to have such access. Steven should only have developer related privileges. So how do we do that? So let me open up an incognito window and let us log in as the admin user here. Admin. Let me type in the password. So the first thing that we need to do is go into Manage Jenkins. And inside here, you should see an option called Configure Global Security. Let's click on that. The first thing that we need to ensure is this Enable Security checkbox is selected, right? Now, if you come down here, you see two sections. One is the security realm and the other one is the authorization, right? Now, the security realm is nothing but the authentication part, which is to validate the username and password entered during the login process. And you have these options here, which is basically to delegate to the servlet container, Jenkins own user database, which is selected by default right now. And then you have the LDAP option. Right, so that is on the security realm part. Now on the authorization part, we have the following options. anyone can do anything. Basically means that all users have access to everything in Jenkins. Now, everyone gets full control of Jenkins, including anonymous users who haven't logged in, right? Then you have the legacy mode. This basically only has 2 levels of access, right? So if you are an admin user, then you have full access to Jenkins. Otherwise, you only have read access. Now, both of these are not widely used for obvious security reasons. The next option here is the logged in users can do anything. In this mode, every logged in user gets full control of Jenkins. This mode is useful to force users to log in before taking actions on Jenkins so that we at least have an audit trail of the user actions. The next option here is the matrix-based security. This allows for granular control over which users and groups are able to access and perform what kind of actions in the Jenkins environment. So let's look at the matrix here. So if you see there's overall, credentials, agents is nothing but slaves, then you have jobs, then you have run, then you have view and the SCM related access. And under each of these sections, you have subsections, right? Meaning sub-level access. Like for example, under the job, you have read access, you have discover access, you have delete access, you have create access, you have build access, etc. And then you have the project-based matrix authentication strategy. This is basically an extension to the matrix-based security, which allows additional access controls or basically ACLs to be created for each project separately in the project configuration screen. This allows granting specific users or groups access to only specified projects instead of all the projects in the Jenkins environment. So let's go ahead and set up some permissions for Steven here. Let me go ahead and click on add user. Let's say Steven is the user that we want to give access to. Let's say he's just got overall read access, right? So let's go ahead and click on save here. Now let's go back to the browser here where Steven is logged in and click on refresh. Right? There you go. Now the Jenkins, the manage Jenkins option is no longer visible to him. Also, he's not able to view any of the jobs. Right? So basically, he's got read-only access to Jenkins at this point in time. So let's go back and give him a little more access. So apart from the overall read access, let us also give him read access to the jobs, right? Now, what this should do is it should at least show him all the jobs that were available, right? So let's go back here and refresh the window, right? There you go. Now he's able to see the jobs, right? But then if you see, he does not have the run button. So basically he just has read-only access, but he cannot build any of these jobs, right? So let's go ahead and give him the build access now. On the job, let's say he's got the build access, right? Let's go ahead and click on save. And let's go back here and try and refresh this now. There you go. Now we are able to see the build button, right? Which basically means that he's got build access. But then now he can only view the job and he's able to build it, but he cannot make changes to the job, or basically he cannot configure the job. Let's try and give him that access as well. Let's give him the configure access, right? Click on save here. And if you go back here and refresh, now he has the configure option. Basically, he can go in and make changes to the job. So this is how we can grant permissions to each and every user depending on the type of access that he or she needs in Jenkins. Okay, great. Now we know how to use the matrix to control user permissions in Jenkins. But did you notice an apparent flaw in this approach? Can you guess what it is? Think about it and we will discuss the same in our next video. Until then, take care and happy learning.